Hey guys, Marshmallow here, back with another video, and today, I got second place in the Speed Duel event, so I'm going to be showing you my deck, talking about how it works and how mine is different to others, and I'll quickly just show you what I won. So I did win the t-shirt, which, I can barely fit on this playmat here, my Speed Duel GX playmat that I won from the last event, so I can't fit a t-shirt on, but it's really cool. It has Jaden, Burstinatrix and Avian on the front, and on the back it has Flame Wingman, and on the sleeve it says Speed Duel GX Duel Academy. But I also won a Elemental Hero Sparkman super rare Speed Duel card with OPTP and limited edition. It's really cool, I can't lie. And honestly, out of all the prize cards, I could have picked this or Book of Moon. I know pretty much most people would have picked Book of Moon. But, I just love heroes. I've always loved heroes, and it's the main deck I play. I just love the designs, and I don't plan on getting rid of this, so I picked the Sparkman. He's just really cool. I also won a keyring to go with the shirt and the card. So let me just open up the little baggie here. So as you can see, we've got a Trials of the Pharaoh keyring with the design that's on the front of the shirt on the keyring too, and it's sort of like a metal sort of material. It's quite hard. So yeah, we got that, the card, and we also got 3 of the newest Speed Duel tournament packs, which I have opened up, and they're actually really solid. I didn't get an ultra rare, I wasn't that lucky, but I got a Skull Servant as a super rare, a Queen's Knight, and a Waking the Dragon Trap card, which is actually a really spicy mechanic, which I might implement at least into a side deck of a future Speed Duel deck. I do have this skill for Skull Servant, and one of my friends that went with me also got Skull Servant, so I might try sweeping them up and playing that at some point too. The Queen's Knight, I don't know if I'll ever use it, but it's a really nice super, and it can happily go in my Speed Duel binder. But without further ado, let's get into the deck. Now, I did forget to do this video, so the side deck's deconstructed and not complete, but I can just tell you what's in there. Basically, it was just extra copies of the cards that I've shown. So, we were running a Spellproof Armor deck, which, if you don't know what this is sort of an old deck now. What it does is, you activate during your main phase on your first turn, and then all machines you control are unaffected by opponents' spell cards. And then you can normal summon machine normal monsters with 1 less tribute. If a non-machine monster's in your grave, flip the skill over, and it can, so basically it just deactivates the skill permanently. Something I was considering running is DD Warrior Lady, because you could banish her so she'd never actually touch the graveyard. And you'd be banishing whatever they've got as well. So that was a bit of a neat mechanic I was looking into, but in the end it just didn't seem too great or viable. So we are running a 21 card deck because something I came across not me personally, I came across it once, but my friends definitely came across it a lot, and I've had it in past duels or whatnot before, is decking out. So I want to be able to go first to maintain and set up my controlling field, but I don't want to go first and then deck out late game. Because basically what Spellproof Armor does, you want to get your machines safe from spells, and then you want to lock out their traps, and you just want to lock them out of as much as you can before you just go in and destroy all their monsters. So for the first monster, we have 3 Jinzo. Jinzo, if you don't know what Jinzo does, which I'm not sure you've been playing Speed Duel if you don't know what Jinzo does, or just OG Yu-Gi-Oh! This card, trap card, when this card's summoned, he has a continuous effect that trap cards and their effects on the field can't be activated and negate all current traps. So this is really good against stuff like Crystal Conclave, Zone of the Spirit, Wall of Disruption, Floodgate Trap Hole. This just stops a lot of trap cards, and obviously if you think they've got a Floodgate Trap Hole, you can bring this out and they can't Floodgate it because it just negates the trap. So it's really good, and it's just useful in many ways. It also stops battle traps like Windstorm of Attacker and Wall of Disruption. I think I said that though already. So yeah, with Spellproof Armor, Jinzo can't be touched by spells, and you negate all traps, so you've locked them out of everything. Because he is an effect monster though, you do need 1 tribute, but that's really simple to get on the board, and it's well worth the effort. Also, something cool, Spellproof Armor protects your guys from being affected by Ojama Country. So Ojama's controlling abilities are hit significantly. If they don't get their fusions, they're pretty much gonna struggle to beat you. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. I'll just move these down a bit. 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. Basically, Cyber Dragon can get you a 1-turn Jinzo. If you've gone second, you can special summon Cyber Dragon and tribute into Jinzo. Furthermore, you do want to be going first with this deck most of the time to establish the board to stop your opponent doing stuff. But if you go second, Cyber Dragon's a great card to just summon, swing, just interfere with their board, destroy their monsters, weaken their field. And this is something really cool about this deck, is a lot of the ways it can maintain control. Unlike other decks where it's just purely floodgates and pure restrictions, this deck's really good at control through just attacking monsters once it's A-OK. Because you stop spells hitting your monsters, you stop traps hitting your monsters. So that just gives you the go-ahead to just keep attacking everything, more or less. Obviously, monster effects are still a big issue, but there's enough plays to be going through and not being hit too heavily by it. Next up, we've got our main normal summon of the deck. Because Spellproof Armor says 1 less tribute rather than 1 less level, it does mean that you can play Ally of Justice Clauseless. Because it's a 1 tribute monster, meaning that it now requires 0 tributes, so you can just normal summon this whenever throughout the duel. And with a stat line of 2,300 attack, that is very decent. And like I said, because of Spellproof Armor, Ojama Country is not touching your guys, so you don't have to worry too much about defense. The only thing I will say is with Spellproof Armor, you can normal summon with 1 less tribute. So from what I'm aware, you can't set. So that's a bit of an issue. So that's why we've got these next 3 monsters. Keeping it machine-themed, obviously, because we don't want Spellproof Armor to deactivate at any point. First up, we've got Blast Sphere. This actually single-handedly won me a duel. What this does is, if this face-down defense position card was attacked by an opponent's monster, equip this card to that attacking monster, then during your opponent's next standby phase, destroy it, and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the destroyed monster had on the field. So not its original attack. And that's why it's so good. Because my opponent on one of the duels was running XYZ Dragon Cannon. They had a X-Head Cannon equipped with Poison Sword of Solidarity or something, which doubles its attack if it's the only monster they have. So it was on 3,600. They attacked the Blast Sphere. The 3,600 hit them on their standby phase, and they'd already taken some damage earlier in the duel from a Clauseless just beating over things. So that was just tasty, and they just ended up dying from Blast Sphere. We're then running Ally of Justice Core Destroyer. This card's fairly simple. At the start of damage step, if this card battles a light monster, destroy it. So this is really good against XYZ and stuff like Blue Eyes, so it's not going to come into play too often, but it's another monster that you can set face down for defensive purposes, and the fact it can just hit light attribute monsters that are much higher level or higher strength. Say, because the problem with this deck is the low stat line. It's not, obviously you've got 23 right off the get-go, but you're not getting much higher than that with 24 being your highest. So if they've got something super strong that's a light attribute like XYZ Dragon Cannon, you can just slam into it of Ally of Justice Core Destroyer and destroy the monster. And then for the final monster of the deck, 1 Dekoichi, the Battle Chanted Locomotive. It flips up and you draw a card. We're not running any Bakoichis. I do own Bakoichis, but we're not running Bakoichis, just Dakoichis. And yeah, it's just free draw power. A lot of the time, if you're going against someone who's played you before, like say you're in round 2 or round 3 and they've seen Blast Sphere, they're not wanting to touch your face down. So you often get the flip, and then you can tribute it off as well. So it's really good draw power, but it's also great tribute fodder. And even if it does get attacked and dies or whatever, it's still giving you some form of benefit. So it's a great defender, as it gives you something regardless. Now moving into spells, we are running Soul Exchange. This is one of the most surefire ways you're going to be getting around your opponent's big monsters. Tribute it. Yeah, because you target one monster your opponent controls. So say they have, I don't know, a Cyber Angel Editin or something, or a Volcanic Doomfire. You target that, tribute it away, and then bring in your Jinzo to stop them from using traps. So that's really, really cool. And like I said, it's one of the most guaranteed ways or surefire ways to just wipe a card off the board, because it's counted as tribute. It stops things like some destruction effects, and yeah, it's just a great way to give you straight up advantage. The reason we're running 3, you may think this is bricky, but obviously with something like Cyber Dragon, you might think, oh yeah, you get the free summon, but after that it's a 21, which is weaker than your normal summon that requires tribute. That's good because you can partner it with Soul Exchange and steal your opponent's monster. So that's why running 2 Cyber Dragons, you're A-okay to do so. Some people may even run 3, but I just run 2 because I get that that's not going to happen every time and it may end up being more clunky. This deck does sometimes brick, and that's what did lead to my 1 loss in the tournament. My starting hand was 3 Jinzos and what was it? Summoner's Art, I believe. So I had a monster, but not much could happen beyond that. But yeah, because we've got Cyber Dragon and Jinzo, that's 5 monsters in the deck that we can steal an opponent's monster to tribute for. Next up, as I did say, we've got Summoner's Art. I would run more. I would argue 2, maybe even 3 would be a lot better than 1. But I only own the 1. And also, I wasn't even lucky enough to get one from my tournament packs either. But what this does is add a level 5 or higher normal monster from deck to hand. So it's just like, it's just a search of Ally of Justice Clausulus, which is your, obviously with thanks to Spellproof Armor, free normal summon 2300 body. Not much else to say about that. It's basically just allowing you to run an extra copy, so it's like we're running 4 Clausulus now instead of 3. Then we're running Book of Moon. Just the 1 because we are on a 21 card deck and I don't want it to be too big of a deck. But yeah, great interruption. Target a face-up monster on the field, change it to face-down defense mode. This can stop effects, attacks. It can save your own monsters and your own life points. Say because you're forced into normal summon, you can then Book of Moon your own thing to set it face down and save yourself from some damage. One thing I would say is you may want to run more. The reason I didn't was because I was aware of some of the things in my locals that were going to be played, but Jinzo does lock both players out of traps. So this is the best interruption you can be running, because once Jinzo's on the board, your traps can't be used either. That doesn't mean don't use traps. I would still recommend using quite a few traps, as you'll see later, because there's a lot of times where you don't even play Jinzo in a whole game and you still win. But Book of Moon is really good because it's interruption that can be played whenever, even when Jinzo's on the board. So yeah, Book of Moon, great solid choice. But I am only running 1. You can run more, that's fine. Again, like I said, I've changed my lineup based on what I know or what I was more positive I was going to see. I wasn't certain, but I thought I'd see these decks more. So if you're not certain or you know something else, run Book of Moon more instead of traps. Finally, for spells, we're running 1 Overload Fusion. I didn't actually get to play this at all in the tournament, but it's a really cool mechanic that I saw from a YouTuber. because I was looking at loads of deck lists. They all very similar. I think it was Avolt who was using this, which is basically fusion summon a Dark Machine fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials from your field or grave. So basically, late game, once you've got your graveyard building up a bit, you activate Overload Fusion, because hopefully there's a Cyber Dragon in there, and you just fuse all your monsters. You just banish every machine in there, because there's not going to be much revival. Well, there's no revival in this deck, so just banish everything, and you're going to get a very, very strong Chimera Tech Overdragon. I'll get into that in a few seconds. But before we do, we'll go through the trap lineup. So we're running 1 Psychic Shockwave. When your opponent activates a trap, discard a spell/trap to special summon a level 6 Dark Machine from your deck. So yeah, obviously that is going to be your Jinzo, level 6 Dark Machine. However, if you've used all your Jinzos or something, you can actually bring out Ally of Justice Clauseless, because it is just a level 6 Dark Machine. I think I did this once in the tournament, just to kind of body some damage, because it is a special summon, so you can special summon it in defense, so that's useful. Or say you wanted to do that, it also allows you to bring out Clauseless instead of getting one of your Jinzos killed, so decent trap. And because of Clauseless just being so good, it actually has a bit of weird combo synergy with it. We're running 1 Wall of Disruption, more down to the fact that I only have 1, but also because Jinzo's going to be stopping traps. This is a battle trap that makes all monsters your opponent control lose 800 attack for each monster they control. Very strong battle trap. I would argue it's probably the best right now. Some decks may prefer Attack Wood, but I think this is better. And then finally for traps, we are running 2 Widespread Ruin. This is the best trap in the deck, I would argue, because when opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the 1 attack position monster your opponent controls with the highest attack. Your choice if tied. But like I said, this deck does struggle with high attack monsters, so any way to get rid of them through Blast Sphere, Ally of Justice, Core Destroyer, Soul Exchange, and Widespread Ruin, it's just covering all ground and allowing you to get rid of those big monsters that you'd struggled to with the rest of the deck. So that's the end of the main deck. The extra deck is just the Chimera Tech Overdragon. You can run multiple, there's literally no point though, because there's only 1 Overload Fusion. But what this does is, must be fusion summoned, and if it's fusion summoned, send all the cards you control to the grave. The original attack and defense of this card becomes equal to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion summon, times 800. And it can attack your opponent's monsters a number of times, up to the number of fusion materials used for its summon. So say, I don't know, you get onto like turn 5, right? You've got Cyber Dragon in grave, you've got a Clauseless, a Core Destroyer, and I don't know, another Clauseless, right? So turn 5 or something, you got 4 monsters in grave, and then you go for your Overload Fusion, right? Activate that, banish all 4 of these, and then this card gains 800 equal to the number of fusion materials used. So you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. This gains 3,200 and it can attack 4 monsters each turn. Obviously, Speed Duel has the 3 zones, so that's going to be able to attack everything with 32, which, let me tell you, that's pretty strong. The only thing that's really going to be stopping that is spells or traps. And the only problem with this is spells are going to be can't touch it because it's a machine and spellproof armors are there. Monster effects can touch it and traps can because it destroys everything when it's brought out. And unless you can bring out a Jinzo on the same turn as well somehow, there's not going to be a Jinzo because it's destroyed everything on your field. But that is the deck. Like I said, I never actually got to play that. It is a really spicy mechanic though. And yeah, for the side decks are obviously 6 cards, and like I said, it's deconstructed because I forgot to do the video. We're running 3 Mind Crush. Mind Crush is kind of underrated, I can't lie. Really good trap in Speed Duels. Declare a card name. If that card's in your opponent's hand, they must discard all copies of it. Otherwise, you discard one random card. So, best time to activate this is when they've searched something out that you don't want them to use. Or, so say, I don't know, you've seen they've got a Sapphire Pegasus in their hand or something. You want them to not have the Sapphire Pegasus as a summon to get the whole set and have the whole board be set up instantly. Just Mind Crush as soon as it's in the hand and say, Crystal Beast, Sapphire Pegasus. Bam, you've got rid of at least one copy. Another good way is if you're about to attack for game and you're not sure what they're going to do, you could flip it up and say something like Sphere Karibo. And then you might see them get rid of a couple of Sphere Karibos, and now you're safe to attack them directly for game. So yeah, we're running 3 of that. Then we're running 2 United We Stands. Because Spellproof Armor, as I did say, it only stops your machines being targeted by your opponent's spells effects. So you can use equip spells, and the stat line of your monsters is pretty low when you're getting into late game. So 800 for each face-up monster you control, including itself. It's at least 800, but can be 2,400 extra attack. On a Jinzo, that's going to be 4,800. So that's really solid. And then finally, a Solitary Sword of Poison. If the equipped monster battles an opponent's monster, its original attack and defense is doubled. And it wouldn't have been this then that I blast. I can't remember what I blast said then. But yeah. It's another equipped spell that works a bit differently, that's a bit more consistent, but at the same time not as good in the long run. Because if you have more than that one monster, it gets rid of this spell. So that's the side deck, and that is the whole thing overall. It did place me second. Obviously, you saw I got all these prizes like this and this, the packs and a shirt. First place was Cyber Angels, and joint second with me was a Earth Toolbox that was running things like Giant Rat, Zombina, and then lots of traps like Floodgate Trap Hole, Zone of the Spirit. And they run the Bastion skill that boosts an attribute's attack all game for your monsters. Sadly, I didn't get to go against them because I think I could have won because of how many traps they were running. Just locking them out of all that would have been really, really vital. My matches, I lost to an XYZ because before I was able to maintain control of the field or lock them out of traps or something, they were able to use their skill to get XYZ, and they just kept popping every single thing I brought out. So, yeah, there wasn't much I could do. And I also beat another player running XYZ. The one I lost to was like a 3 of Battle City pure XYZ. The one I beat was a 1 XYZ deck from Battle City mixed with a couple like VW bits in the side deck. They were trying to use the newer stuff, and luckily I beat them. There are a few other matches and whatnot, but overall, really good. I've got 1 loss to that 1 XYZ deck. But yeah, really good overall. Hope you enjoyed. And I hope this deck can inspire you. I know it's very similar to like every other Spellproof Armor deck out there, but this is like an updated version of the old build, because I know there's a new build out at the minute. But I like this older build a lot more personally. I think it's cooler, and yeah, it's just got some really neat little things that you can do with it, little tricks and whatnot. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you'd like to see more Speed Duel decks in the future. Hopefully at the place I play, they're going to be doing Speed Duels more often, so more Speed Duel content may be coming soon, if that's what you're into. Regardless, I'll see you in another video, whatever that may be, whether it's Garden Warfare, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Team Fortress, or anything else. I'll see you then.